It's 1982. British forces are preparing to retake the Falkland Islands from Argentina, and among them are the Gurkha regiments of the British Army. Before the fighting even begins, a photograph starts circulating. A Gurkha soldier calmly sharpening his kukri. It spreads through the Argentine ranks, and with it spreads a rumor that a Gurkha never sheathes his blade without drawing blood first. Whole Argentine positions reportedly surrendered rather than face them in close combat. Some of those men never saw a single Gurkha, never fired a shot anywhere near one. A photograph of a knife did that, not the rifle standard issued to every soldier in that army. The knife. This is the Kukri. And by the time it reached the Falklands, its reputation was already 200 years old. Before we rewind, let's actually look at this thing. The Kukri's most obvious feature is its blade. It curves forward and inward, which sounds like a small detail until you realize what it does. It puts the weight of the blade exactly where the force of a swing needs it, turning every chop into something closer to an axe strike than a knife cut. Near the handle, there's a small notch cut into the blade, called the cho. Practically, it stops blood and sap from running down onto the grip. But over the centuries, that little notch picked up its own folklore, which we'll get to. And a kukri rarely travels alone. Tucked into its sheath are two smaller companion blades, the karda, a small utility knife, and the chakmak, used for sharpening. But here's the thing worth sitting with before we go any further. For most of its history, and for most of the people who've carried one, the kukri wasn't a weapon first. It was a farm tool. So, where does a farm tool that ends up terrifying an army actually come from? The trail goes back to the karate peoples of the Himalayan foothills, where blades resembling the kukri shape have been dated as far back as the 7th century BC. That's not a typo. We're talking roots that stretch back nearly 3,000 years. There's a popular theory, and I want to be upfront that it's a theory, not settled fact, that ties the kukri's design to the kopis, a curved, forward-weighted sword carried by Alexander the Great's cavalry during his campaigns into the Indian subcontinent. The visual similarity is striking. Whether one directly influenced the other is still debated by historians, and we're not going to pretend otherwise. What's clearer is how the knife actually lived for most of its history, as the working tool of people surviving in rugged Himalayan terrain, clearing brush, chopping wood, hunting. This was a life-or-death piece of equipment long before it was ever a battlefield one. That changes in the 18th century with the rise of the Gorkha kingdom under Prithvi Narayan Shah. As Shah unified Nepal through conquest, the kukri became the standard sidearm of his Gorkhali soldiers the moment this farm tool starts becoming a weapon of state. And that sets up the moment that changes everything. The Anglo-Nepalese War, fought between 1814 and 1816. British East India Company forces invaded Nepal, expecting what colonial forces usually expected in this era: a short campaign against a technologically outmatched opponent. That's not what they got. Instead, they ran into Gorkhali soldiers who fought with a ferocity and a willingness for close combat that the British simply hadn't planned for. And at the center of that reputation was the kukri. The British were impressed enough that, when the war ended, they didn't just walk away. They started recruiting Gorkhali soldiers directly into British service. That decision is the birth of the Gurkha regiments that still exist today over 200 years later. This is the hinge point of the whole story. Before this war, the kukri is a regional tool and weapon, known mostly within Nepal. After it, the kukri is a symbol recognized by a global colonial power. And from here, it's carried into 2 more centuries of continuous military service. Let's go back to that rumor from the Falklands. The idea that a Gurkha can't sheathe his kukri without drawing blood first, even if it means cutting himself. It's not true. There's no military code, no cultural rule that requires it. It's folklore. And it grew, understandably, around a weapon that already had a fearsome reputation attached to it. it's worth asking why a myth like that sticks around for 200 years. Partly because it's a great story, and partly because militaries have never been shy about letting an intimidating legend do some of their psychological work for them. A rumor that makes an enemy hesitate is worth more than an extra rifle. But here's the real reason: the Kukri has always been genuinely effective in close combat. No myth required. It's a weighted, forward-curved blade, and that shape is simply a superior tool for chopping at close range. The legend is good marketing. The physics were always doing the actual work. From here, the Kukri's story is really the story of the Gurkhas themselves. Through World War I and World War II, Kukri armed Gurkha units serve across multiple theaters, and it's here that the modern reputation really gets cemented in the Western imagination. After Indian independence, Gurkha regiments split and continue serving in both the Indian Army and the British Army. And in both, the Kukri remain standard issue to this day. Through the second half of the 20th century, Gurkha units continued to deploy in conflict after conflict, which brings us right back to where we started, in the Falklands in 1982. And today, the Kukri has a second life as an EDC and outdoor tool in Western markets, and a thriving identity as a collector's item. But in Nepal, it never stopped being what it started as. It's still the national knife of the country, worn, gifted, and given as a mark of respect. Not a museum piece, a living object. So when that Argentine soldier looked at a photograph of a Gurkha sharpening his blade in 1982, he wasn't just looking at a knife. He was looking at 7 centuries of Himalayan farm tools, a colonial war that impressed an empire into recruiting its former enemies, and 200 years of a reputation that had outrun the weapon itself long before it ever crossed an ocean to the South Atlantic. The Kukri didn't need to draw blood to win that fight. It already had. If you want to keep tracing the history behind the edge, hit subscribe. Every episode, we're digging into another blade that shaped a culture or a war, from the Bowie knife to the katana and beyond. Next time, we'll get into the beloved Bowie knife.